Hi, my name's Yasmin.
And I'm Matt, and this is Life's Hard, What's Next?
Today we want to talk about weddings and specifically the financial aspects of a wedding because we got married May 5th last year, so 20.
May 4th. You can't even remember our anniversary.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Okay, okay.
Star Wars Day specifically to make it easier.
I did have a migraine at work. Can I use that as an excuse? Can that be my excuse
I don't
for
know.
forgetting
I don't
our
know.
anniversary? Oh my god.
You give me a
Okay,
hard time.
let's start again. We got married last year, May 4th, and it was a wonderful day. We both enjoyed ourselves a lot, but
Very busy day, though.
very, very busy day. And maybe we'll do other episodes talking about like other aspects of weddings if
Or we can just talk about it,
we want
depending.
to. Yeah, or we can talk about it today depending on how this goes, how long this episode specifically goes. But one of the big things that you encounter very quickly when you get married is how expensive it is, and there's a lot of pressure to have a very Pinterest, Instagrammy, picture perfect wedding, and the financial side of it just kind of accumulates very, very quickly. As usual, Matt's got some stats.
Yeah, I just want to say before I get into that,
Mm,
very much more, a lot of the time, you generally find it's more on the women's side of
100%.
it, not really the guy's side.
Yeah.
You did a lot of the planning when it came to the decisions. I helped out.
Mm,
And we kind of did a little bit of a DIY
hmm.
wedding as well, so
Yeah.
I was a bit more hands-on in terms of that front when
At,
we decided to
towards
get
the
there.
end, yeah, yeah. And that's something we'll talk about. Like, we'll talk about specific breakdown costs,
Yeah,
how much our wedding costs, and the things we did to kind of help make it a bit more affordable. But yeah, if you're just starting wedding planning and going, oh my God, this is bloody expensive, it's not just you. You're very much not alone. We had a friend who said no such thing as a cheap wedding, and I would agree
pretty
with that.
accurate.
Yep, and I think most people who get married would agree with that statement too.
Mm. So the average cost for a wedding in New Zealand is between 35,000 and 45,000.
Mm,
So
that's insane.
large amount for one day, eh?
Yeah, that's like close to a deposit for a house. If you've got 10%, that's especially if you're buying like in smaller, less expensive places.
Don't even know if they're doing 10% anymore.
Yeah, I as I was saying it, I was like, I don't know if banks still do 10%.
No, I think the general's 20. But
Yeah,
but yeah, anyway,
but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money. It's a
yeah,
nice car. It's
a holiday away.
yeah, a really nice holiday. It's about 50% of my student loan when I came out of uni. It's a huge amount of money.
Half a
Mm,
Tesla, I
yeah,
guess.
half a Tesla. Oh God, that's
um,
one way of measuring things.
yeah. How much of a Tesla? And then the divorce rate is 41%.
Yeah. So people are spending
So
between
that is a first time marriages.
yeah, yeah, and that the first statistic was New Zealand specifically. The second wasn't.
Global.
Yeah, yeah. And then if you think about the fact that, yeah, people are spending on average, let's say 40K, because that's the average of 35 to 40, for something that has a 41% chance of failing. Not to say that getting divorced is a failure, because for some people it's the right choice,
Just a
right?
season of life as well sometimes.
Yeah, and then sometimes, people enter your life for a certain season of your life and they exit it, and that again doesn't mean anything wrong. And sometimes leaving someone is the bravest thing that you can do, but like it seems like a very crazy amount of money to spend on a day in general, let alone a day where 41% of the time you're going to think back and maybe regret it slightly, right?
Now, I'm going to say this. When we were at our wedding, I feel like our wedding, I didn't see much of the money that we put in,
No,
to be fair.
neither did I.
The most we probably saw out of it was the photographer, I'd say, and the venue.
100%,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it
Everything else we didn't really,
was more for our guests.
yeah,
Yeah.
not really for us.
And like,
And you're so away from the venue for such a long period of time, like with the photos and that. Yeah,
yeah.
and we weren't even that long. You
I was
just
just
kind
about to
of,
say, yeah. Not even compared to other weddings I've been part of where we've been gone for hours to take photos.
you got to make sure all the guests are
Mm,
okay and just
mm-hmm.
try and get around the room.
Mm.
And I mean, it's like you don't even really have much time for each other really on the
No,
day, which is kind of the sad thing.
yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong, we both we're glad that we had a
Yeah,
wedding
yeah, yeah.
because we did consider eloping because we got engaged during COVID times. And I think if the pandemic had continued the way it had when we got engaged, we probably would have eloped because I don't know if I would have had the heart to plan a wedding just to have to cancel it last minute
Yeah.
because of the pandemic.
Or what was it? Have like 12 people, right? I
Yeah,
think that was the limit.
yeah. So I don't know if I would have had the heart to do that, but in the end, like, we are glad that we did it because, what other period of time in our lives are we going to have like your grandparents and, my parents and my sister and my siblings and so on, like in the same room at the same time.
Really, the only time you do have that close knit, unless you're a close knit family,
Yeah.
the only time you really do that is weddings or funerals.
Yeah. Exactly. And that was kind of our thought process when we were making the decision is it's a good excuse to bring people together. But we kind of knew straight off the bat that either we were going to have to wait a very long time to get married if we were going to do a 35 to 45k wedding because we just didn't have that money.
Yeah.
We'd either have to spend years and years planning and saving, or we were just going to have a sensible wedding within a budget that was reasonable for us without putting ourselves into debt, which was important to both of us, especially since we had bought a house, like a year before we got married?
Yeah.
A year and a half before we got married, we bought a house, and if you own a home, you know that A, it's very expensive to buy a house, and B, the financial aspect of owning a home once you have it, like aside from paying the mortgage and stuff, like there's always something that needs to be done.
Asterisks in New Zealand.
Yeah, in New Zealand. We don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
We're not multi-property tycoons with, properties all over the world, so we don't know what it's like in other countries. But in New Zealand, buying a home is very expensive and maintaining a home is very expensive because there's always something that needs to be done in an older home.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So we got a piece of advice from a friend of mine who got married, who said the best way to have, again, a nice wedding that you'll enjoy, but, not put yourself into debt, is to choose 3 things that are your priority, you as a couple, your priority, and put most of your financial resources into that, and don't worry about the rest. And we kind of took that advice.
Took that on, yeah.
Yeah.
So our big things were the venue, the food, and the photographer.
Yep.
They were our 3 big ones.
Yeah. And it did end up being our 3 biggest expenses.
Yep.
Our venue, we actually only saw 1 venue.
Yeah, we didn't even look around really. We saw it and we're like, yeah, this is
yeah, like
had an indoor and outdoor option, so
Yep.
we're like, yep, this is good. Good views of the mountain scenery.
Yeah, because we want to get married in May because of the scenery and the autumn weather, but we also knew that getting married in May, there was going to be a risk of rain, although people got married like a year before us in summer, and like, was it the summer before we got married or the one before that?
I don't know what one you're talking about.
Cyclone Gabrielle happened?
Oh, yeah.
It was that year, wasn't it?
Yeah, earlier that year.
Yeah, like January, February.
Although the day was nice.
In Auckland. What do you mean the day was nice?
The day was nice.
Our wedding.
No, their day. Like, the sun was still out.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about our friends specifically. I'm just talking about people who got married in general that time of the year.
Sorry.
I'm just saying, generally, yes, our friends who did get married in February, like a few months before us, they ended up having a nice day. They were lucky. It was that year. Yeah. Yeah, they were lucky enough to end up having a house, but a house. God.
A wedding.
A wedding, my brain's just custard. Anyway, they were lucky enough to have a nice day on their wedding, but they still had guests who almost didn't make it because of the cyclone. And then there were people, in the rest of the country who would have had to either cancel their weddings or have an indoor wedding when they had only planned an outdoor.
Yeah.
And it's like the middle of summer. You don't expect there to be like literally a cyclone in the middle of summer when you're planning your wedding, unless you live in New Zealand.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you should always have a plan B. That's one of my probably biggest pieces of advice to, a couple. Make sure you have a plan B. Do not just plan a beach wedding and have no plan B, even if you're getting married in January and February. For us, in May, the chance of rain was high, but even in summer, you can't guarantee
No,
that.
you still got to guarantee. Yeah.
So indoor and outdoor option was good. Very, very good. And we actually saw our venue on a really
bad day.
Yeah, the weather was...
That was another cyclone, actually.
Yeah,
we saw it on another cyclone.
The weather was shocking. And we were like...
Trees came down on the road when we were getting there.
Yeah. And we were like, well, if we like it this much, on a day when the weather's shocking, it's only onwards and upwards from here. And then the other thing we liked about the venue was that it was all inclusive. Like
Yeah.
they had a lot of
Props and because the other things they can get you with the weddings is if you get a venue, they don't actually have anything there. They just got the venue. So our venue had the tables, the runners, the chairs.
Yep.
So they had props, all that kind of thing. They had
decorations,
board games, all that.
Yep.
So we just
lawn games.
basically had to rock up.
Yep.
Which was quite nice. Oh, and set up the food and that. But
if we weren't going to hire a company to do it, so that was really important to us because I know people. Yeah, we had like 3 weddings, not including our own last year.
Yeah.
So we went to a lot of weddings, and I know a lot of people who got married and their venues didn't include things like silverware and plates and tables and all of that sort of stuff.
I think the only thing our one didn't include was the glasses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which we ended up hiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely something to think about. The other nice thing with our venue was that because we were getting married in like not a popular season in May, and because we chose to get married on a Thursday, both of those things made it slightly more affordable than if we'd got married on a Friday or a Saturday and if we'd gotten married in summer. I personally think that getting married on a Friday makes no sense because they charge you just as much as if you're going to get married on a Saturday.
It was like an extra $1,000.
Yeah, like
to get it done on a Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, I getting married on a Saturday. That makes sense to me because most people don't work Saturdays. But on a Friday, people still have to take time off work, and both of our families were going to have to travel to the Waikato because your family didn't live 6 hours away, and so does mine. So we were like, people are going to have to take time off. People are going to have to travel no matter what. So if we can save ourselves literally $1,000, then why wouldn't we?
And most people just had an extra long weekend.
Yeah.
Like one of my uncles and my cousin that went to Ragland.
Yeah, went to the beach to go surfing after. Yeah. No, none of our guests cared about it being on a Thursday. I mean, it might have been slightly inconvenient for some of them, but again, most people were travelling anyway.
Like if we had it on Friday, they still have to take Friday off and Thursday, so...
Exactly. So those are kind of some things to consider with the venue, and then some easy ways to bring the cost of the venue down. The second thing that was a priority for us was food. And I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. If you're hungry or your guests are hungry...
Everyone's got to be fed. It's a long day.
It's a long, long day. Although, that is one thing, I made an effort to have a good breakfast in the morning of the wedding because I didn't want to get hungry because I knew it was going to be such a long day. And then I didn't end up being able to enjoy our food as much because I wasn't hungry by the time the evening came around because there's just so much adrenaline.
I didn't eat because I was just busy running around.
Yeah, so again, that is kind of one of the downsides of being the couple is that because it's your day and everyone wants to talk to you and because you're running around doing all this stuff, it's easy to not enjoy the food that you paid a lot of money.
Now, another thing, keep in mind with the venues is that some venues do, you have to use them as catering.
Yeah.
So our one was quite good because we just had food trucks.
Yeah.
It was great. It was
awesome.
It was quite a cool process because it wasn't just like a pizza. Like, when I say food truck, most people probably just think chips and fish and a hot dog or pizza or something along, or tacos, something along those kind of lines. But this one was really cool. They had 3 options which they consulted with us on what we wanted, and it was actually pretty reasonably priced in terms of it. We probably went for the more expensive food truck.
Yeah, we definitely could have gone much cheaper if we wanted to.
It was really nice.
Yeah, 100%. And all our guests really enjoyed the food. I think the only thing that wasn't as nice was I chose a banh mi as one of the things that I wanted, and the baguette was quite stiff. And I found that when I ate it. But the other 2 options the guests really enjoyed.
What do we have? We had pulled beef.
Yep.
Beef brisket with mashed potatoes, farming background, real meat 3 veg.
Hawker rolls.
And crispy chicken hawker rolls.
Yeah, and then a cauliflower version
of it as well.
And then
they had some chips as well, and it was all real good.
The chips were very, very good. And they also did our entrees for us, our canapes. And they did the risotto balls and then the mozzarella.
Risotto? Arancini.
Yeah, arancini balls, sorry. And then mozzarella, cheesy things, and one other thing I can't remember. But yeah, the canapes and the food were delicious. Again, the only negative was the banh mi, and I mean, even that was still fine. And to clarify, like what Matt means is that they literally told us, what do you want to eat and we'll make it happen. Like there wasn't even like a menu to choose from or whatever. I mean, of course, like if you chose salmon, then it's going to be more
But,
expensive.
but that's what they were saying. They said depending on the type of ingredient that you have and those kind of things, it's going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is that, like, when we first sat down and started talking to them, we were like, oh, like some of our people like this, some of our
family,
some of our families, friends like this, some of our other family like this.
Mm.
And they basically, which is a good idea for anyone who else is planning, it's your day. What do you want?
They kind of told us off a little bit in the nicest way. They were like, stop thinking about what other people want to eat. You're paying for this. What do you want to eat on your wedding day?
Yeah.
They did offer us dessert and the cake, but what we ended up doing was we set up a grazing table ourselves.
No, and they offered the grazing table too.
Yeah, yes.
They offered
what I said.
they offered dessert, a grazing table, and the cake. That was the three things that they offered. The extra on top, which you could pay for to do.
Yeah, that's right, actually.
Now I'm just gonna say this. With our wedding, we did the grazing table. We just did it ourselves.
We went to the supermarket.
Got, I don't know, probably like $150 or $100 worth of like crackers and cheeses and all that kind of thing.
To 150, but yeah.
Yeah, cheeses, crackers, and all that. Just spread it all out on the table. My mum, good baker. She made a whole bunch of stuff for us as well, and
like Rocky Road and all of that sort of stuff.
So did your mum. Your mum made some stuff for us too.
Yeah, some Middle Eastern sweets, yep. And then the morning of the wedding, you and my mum and your mum went and set up the grazing table.
I was getting picked on. I'm just saying that now. They're teaming up on me.
By our mums. So that was, like, again, a really easy way to cut costs because... like,
it was over $1,000. If we got the grazing table done professionally, it was over $1,000.
And, like, don't get me wrong, none of this is us taking away from the fact that if you get people to come in and do these services, it A, takes pressure off you, and B, like, obviously they're going to do a very good job of it because they're professionals. But in that same breath, this is what it's all about. It's about choosing what you value. And for us, the food was important, but we knew we could put together a decent grazing table because it isn't that hard. You were quite happy to do stuff the morning of the wedding. You kind of thought that you'd actually probably get more stressed and more nervous if you were sitting around with nothing to do. Yep. So it worked for us to do it this way, but this is where you need to sit down and have conversations about what your priorities are, what you're willing to do, and how, like, what are you willing to pay to have done to get it taken off your plate, and what would you rather just what would you happily do yourself to save a bit of money?
Oh, and it's definitely, it wasn't hard. You just look online, have a look at a few things.
Yeah. We did a lolly jar for dessert as well. That was, again, so easy to do because they had a lolly jar at the venue.
And we just had like little boats so people could just go up and take some lollies as they wanted. And we also had s'mores because there was a little fire pit that people were able to go. I was upset I only got to do one.
Yeah, me too. And I've only ever done s'mores that one time in my entire life, so I kind of wish I'd done more.
No, we have to do it again.
Now I want a s'more.
We have to do it again.
And then the cake. Do you want to talk to them about the cake?
Now, I'm just going to say it. The amount of times I practice with the cake probably would have been just as easy to actually get someone to make the cake.
I don't know. Wedding cakes are like $700-800.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking more like $300.
No. Well, again, it depends. Like, I'm sure if you shop around, but they can be very, very expensive. And the other thing is, with all the trials that you did, we still got to eat some cake. So, like, it wasn't wasted.
And they went for events and that, like birthday cake and that, so it was fine.
They weren't wasted. But yeah, Matt made the cake. You didn't start with that part.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You made the cake.
I made the cake.
Yeah, you made... what was that again? A red velvet.
It was a red velvet and a chocolate cake. So the first layer was red velvet. The second layer was chocolate. Again, I don't know if this is just me sounding cocky. It wasn't too hard. It just took a bit of practice because of the oven and that kind of thing to make sure that we got the temperatures right so it would cook all the way through.
And transporting it.
And transporting it was all right.
Getting a box, yeah. You did get a little bit stressed about it closer to the time, but once you'd made it, it was
fine.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just, again, have to have a little bit of foresight, a bit of planning. And again, like really fancy wedding cakes can be very expensive. So.
Ours was the 2-tier.
It was a two-tier.
And it was two-tier.
Like that, like it all went. Again, I think I only had like one little bit of the wedding cake. Like,
yeah, actually, yeah, we didn't get to take any home.
Yeah, it went down like a treat.
Yeah.
Which was very good.
And now my mum wants me to make her one of the red velvet for her birthday. So, now there's a list of things.
Yeah, but you offer to make people cakes for their birthdays all the time.
I know.
You like it.
I did it once.
Yeah.
Now I kind of have to.
And you're also making your nan a cheesecake, remember?
Oh, yeah.
You promised her just the other day.
True, I am. Yeah.
Now I want cake. Anyway, let's stop talking about food.
But yeah, you can tell you're not feeling 100%.
I know. I feel a bit out of it. But yeah, food very important, and I'd say most people would say that of the three things that they choose, food is one of the most important parts.
Yeah.
The third one was the photographer. Now, we had a really lovely photographer. We vibed with her so well. The wedding that we went to in February, a couple of months before ours, and I was a bridesmaid for, their photographer had such a different vibe to ours. And actually, a lot of the weddings that we went to, the photographer had such a different vibe to ours. But the more important thing is our photographer vibed well with us.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing you need to establish. Because you need to get along with your photographer and they need to have energy that works for you and your partner. One way to really easily establish that is to get an engagement photo shoot, which is what we did.
I was going to say, because Yas is a bit extra, she wanted engagement photo shoot as well.
But did you like it in hindsight? Did you think it was a good idea that we did it?
It was a long day, but
no, the engagement photo shoot.
Yeah, it was long.
It was an hour.
It wasn't an hour.
Yes, it was. The photo shoot itself was an hour.
We had to drive out to Raglan though, and all that, and come back. And we didn't get home till like 10.
Like,
remember because we went at sunset and it was in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
So sunset didn't set till like 9.
It wasn't that long of a day. It wasn't that long.
I was tired.
And now we have photos.
And I don't like photos, so.
Well, yes, I was just about to say, you should say that part. But would you rather have met her for the first time in our wedding and maybe not gotten on with her? Or would you rather have met the photographer?
Oh, no, she was lovely. Like,
yeah,
don't get me wrong. It was a good idea.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it doesn't. Most wedding photographers, I'd say, would be nice people. Like,
I'd hope so.
You wouldn't be in this business if you're not a personable person. But I guess, like, the wedding I went to in February, their photographer was very like, right, it's 10 o'clock, we need to do this. It's 10:15, we need to do this. Bam, 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 bam. She was very scheduled and regimented, which actually worked really well because she was helping to push things along when needed. And Caitlin did have that energy when she wanted/needed to, but she was also, like, a little bit more relaxed, which I think both of us appreciated, and also it suited the vibe of our wedding a bit more too, which was we wanted it to be a relaxed day. But yeah, I mean, as you can probably guess from what we're saying, I very much enjoyed the engagement photo shoot. We have beautiful pictures of us and our dog, who we didn't get to have at our wedding, and we wanted to, but it was going to be just too complicated to have.
Yeah.
And then it also gives you the opportunity to see, A, how well do you communicate with your photographer? B, again, does your energy match with them? C, are you happy with the quality of their work? And if all of those things are good, then you can book them for your wedding. Like, it's a trial. And photographers are generally very expensive. We were very lucky with ours that we hired her when she was still building up her portfolio, so she wasn't as expensive. But usually wedding photography is one of the most expensive parts of a wedding.
The reason why we also bring that up is because it's going to do a breakdown for you.
Yeah, we'll actually go through like the pricing specifically. But yeah, like weddings, like the photographer's expensive. So it's something worth making sure you're happy with. It's an investment. I mean, your photos are one of the few things that you'll have forever. So it is worth spending more money on, but like an engagement shoot or a trial is a way for you to figure out, am I happy with the photographer and am I happy with these photos?
There are a couple of other things that we were kind of thinking about as well in terms of what we wanted to put money in. We kind of there were 3 options for music. Essentially, we could either do a band, a DJ, or a speaker. We opted for the speaker side of things.
Spotify playlists.
Yeah, that worked out relatively well. Although, I will say this, if you wanted a more engaged audience, the weddings that we went to, they had bands. Very good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Very good. Very engaging. They're very good at getting people from, sitting in the seats or in the background. They're really good at getting people
Onto the dance floor.
onto the DJs are good for, variety.
Mm,
Again, they're a bit cheaper than a band because they don't need all the instruments and all that.
hmm
And they can set it up pretty easily. We basically, my brother just held my tablet
hmm
while we were doing the ceremony, and I just got him to press play.
Mm.
At certain points, he was there through the rehearsal.
Yep. And we had it all organized.
Yep,
Like we had
like an actual playlist for it.
yeah, and we'd done a rehearsal with the music as well, so it was pretty like it was easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. The
Mm.
other thing that Yaz really wishes she got done, we didn't do it again because of the cost,
Mm.
but that was a videographer.
Yeah.
You kind of look back and wish you
Or even if we'd just gotten someone to video the speeches, because I mean, again, our wedding was so
casual.
casual and we didn't have any formal speeches, and we just said to both of our families, whoever wants to speak can stand up and speak, but absolutely nobody has to. Like traditionally, I think in Western weddings, the groom speaks, the father of the bride and the father of the groom, the not bridesmaid, the maid of honor, and the best man.
Yeah.
Those are the people who speak. And we were like, no, we're not going to follow that. Again, if you want to speak, you're welcome to, but if you don't want to, that's fine. And both of us had relatively introverted, like groomsmen and bridal
I was
parties.
surprised at how many people did get up though.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't a lot. We kind of gave them the time limit of 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Yeah, because we were like, everyone's been to a wedding where someone stands and they talk and talk and talk and talk, and they bring up random stories that nobody knows what the hell they're talking about, or only, a few people do, and it's boring for the guests. So we said whoever wants to speak can, but you can't speak for more than 2 minutes. And I was just really surprised by how funny my dad was. I think that
it was a
my
really good
biggest
one, yeah.
his speech was really funny. But even aside from him, like your dad's speech was nice, my brother's speech was nice, your brother spoke as well.
My dad got up.
Yeah.
Oh, my nang, sorry.
Yeah, your grandmother.
And my grandfather, he got up.
Yes. And both of us spoke, although neither of us
We did this dumb thing where we wrote our speeches on Google Docs, and we thought we'd just be able to bring it
our
up at the venue
phones.
and just read it out.
Yeah.
But we forgot there was no reception or Wi-Fi at our venue. So
Yeah.
that's a good little note. Make sure you do it on notes, not on
Yeah.
Google Docs.
100%.
And then we winged it and we kind of just made asses of ourselves.
It's
So
so hard to wing it. You think it would be easy because literally you're just standing up to say thank you to everyone, but it's actually really easy to mess it up, especially after a long day.
I missed someone and then called out your sister.
Yeah, me too. I messed up too. But yeah, I do just wish I'd asked someone to just video the speeches just with their cell phone.
Yeah.
And to be honest, even the ceremony would have been nice if someone filmed it, again, just with their cell phone.
We had gone to a wedding before where I got asked to film it on my phone and it actually looked really good. So, I mean, that's another thing you can do.
It's just tap someone on the shoulder and be like, hey, can you please do this for us? Because that's something that we wish we'd done in hindsight. Other thing from a financial point of view that we did would have been flowers. That definitely was
flowers.
my avenue. Flowers are so expensive.
Yep.
And again, understandable. They can be beautiful. Florists do amazing jobs. Like, I understand why they cost as much as they cost, but it wasn't one of our top 3 priorities. So what we ended up doing was we got some little domes made up for the table
Inspiration
pieces.
from your brother?
Yeah, inspired by my brother who got married in November, so the year before we did. And then the other thing we did was one of my sister-in-laws worked at a florist for a while, so she knew how to arrange flowers and specifically dried flowers, and she could access some dried flowers for us. So
you were also grabbing some lavenders and that.
Yeah, like slowly
the
drying stuff out, and did a lot of research into it, to be honest. Like it is a whole thing. And her and I made the bridesmaids bouquets and the again the oh no, not it wasn't for the centerpieces, it was down the aisle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, for down the aisle.
And your bouquets.
Yeah, the night before.
And the pins.
The
brooch, what are they called?
Oh, I don't know.
Little pins that go on the suits.
Yeah, for the guys.
I don't know.
Yeah. They all know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I ordered my bouquet from the same place that we got our domes made from, but again, me and my sister-in-law kind of floofed it up a little bit and just added a few more dried flowers to it. But that made a huge difference to our costs because, again, flowers so expensive. And the other thing is, at least with dried flowers, you get to keep them. So we gifted our domes to people in our family, and then I still have my bouquet. And we still have some of our bridesmaids' bouquets as well. Not bridesmaids, sorry, the ones that we put down the aisle. So you get to reuse them and have something to remember your wedding by, which is quite special instead of just flowers that die otherwise.
I was going to say, we also have a friend who used, at their wedding, their dry flowers, she got it made into like a ring, a flowering, and it's above their baby's bed now.
Which is quite nice.
Yeah, so I mean, at least there's something you can do with it.
People do all sorts of creative things with their bouquets. Even real flower bouquets, people can do all sorts of things with it. The other thing I've heard people do with their like actual flowers is either gift it to someone who's getting married like soon around the time, or take it into a rest home and just like
that's nice.
Yeah. So that's really special. Like there are lots of things that you can do besides just let the flowers die. Yeah. What else? You got your suit from Farmers?
Yep.
You got it on a deal, like it was like a
$240 something bucks.
Yeah, something like that, and it like fit you really well. Like it was I mean, you did get it tailored slightly, but like it was a nice suit.
Again, being a male made it a lot cheaper. I mean, even from everything from the clothing, the shoes, the wedding band.
Yep. Yeah.
The jewelry that I brought you
was
more expensive than what you brought me.
I was the expensive part of the wedding.
Yeah. So, well, should we brush on through and go through the costings? Since you've got it all there.
Yep. So I kept a spreadsheet, and actually that's something we would recommend doing. Figure out how much you're willing to pay, or you're able to pay.
Give yourself a little bit extra.
Give yourself some buffer, because you will go over. And figure out your 3 top things, and then work backwards for how much money you need to put aside at least per week to get to that. Also, put it into a high interest savings account because their interest is worthwhile.
Just don't touch the money until you need to.
Yeah. Or you can put it into one of those savings accounts where you get some interest on it, but you can move it around.
Oh, can I also just say, alcohol. Now, our families aren't big drinkers, but we still spent just over $1,000 on alcohol. Now, the suggestion would be ask the venue who to go for, because the venue told us that there was a place that they deal with.
Yeah.
And they have a buyback policy. So they'll buy back X amount of the alcohol that isn't used if it's, not used. And they also gave us the hiring the glassware for free.
Yeah.
As well, included, because we did over $500.
Yeah.
So that's a good way of doing it. But yeah, they kind of had a good idea in terms of how much to spend. Like, they've got a little calculator, so make sure you ring up the alcohol store and just say how many people, what you want, and yeah.
Yeah, they gave us suggestions for the types of alcohol to have.
And how much too, because we didn't really know. And we had way too much because,
we still had too much, yeah.
But that's also because, a lot of people didn't really drink.
Yeah, we're not. That wasn't really our vibe. And I will say that people who I know who've gotten married and who, again, the budget's been a bit blown, it's usually on the alcohol, especially if there's like an open tab at the bar, and especially if people can order spirits. And because our venue, we could only have beer, wine, and that's it.
The bridal party and our parents could have RTDs.
If they
wanted it, but they had to bring it themselves.
Yeah. But like they restricted what you could have, partially because they've had bad behaviour when they've allowed other things, but also from a cost standpoint, you're definitely going to save money if you're not like splurging on super expensive alcohol. But yeah, okay. Total, we spent $16,500. That's how much we spent on our wedding, which isn't bad, again, when we consider the average cost of New Zealand wedding is $40,000.
Oh, yeah, so, under half.
Yeah.
Under half that. Now, keep in mind, we only did have 50 people.
Yeah. So we also had a small
wedding.
We actually should have said that earlier. That's another big thing that contributes to cost. How many people you're bringing. Because every person you invite, you're feeding, at the very least. Our food was our biggest expense, and that was about $4,500.
Yep. Good experience.
Yeah.
Really good.
Second one was the venue, which was about 3,800-ish.
And then keep in mind that if we did it on a Saturday or a Friday, it would have jumped up to 4.5 to 5.
Yeah. So definitely worth keeping costs down with
And
that.
keep in mind, this was a year ago, so this has probably all jumped all the
Yeah.
way back up again as well now.
All of this will be expensive. Sorry.
Yeah. Now, the next one, the
Mm.
photographer. Again, we got her at a special rate because she was still building up her profile.
Mm-hmm.
So we got her for 2K
For 8 hours.
for 8 hours, but and we got about 600 photos.
550?
Whatever.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of photos to go through. And some really good ones.
Mm.
But we looked it up afterwards to see how much she was actually charging for new people, like and it was about 4K
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you're really in a pinch, getting someone who's building their portfolio is a good idea, but then you definitely need to have an engagement photo shoot or something. Otherwise, for me,
Just a family shoot.
yeah, I would have chosen to have someone who was more experienced come in for a shorter amount of time, or someone who we really liked their work for a shorter amount of time. Like, I think 6 hours of a really good photographer is better than 8 to 10 hours of an average photographer coming in.
Make sure you look at the portfolios as well.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
And that you like their style of photos.
We've heard a lot of people get stung by that.
Yeah, and that's just sad. When you hate your photos, that's like, well, yeah, that's just sad. The next one was my dress. That was about $1,500. There's a long story with that, but basically,
Add on 500, basically.
yeah.
Basically, add on
the
500.
first dress, yeah, I know. Well, that's what I was about to say. I bought a dress for about $500 first when we were considering eloping. I tried it on. It was nice, but it wasn't really nice enough for our wedding. I ummed and ahed. I mean, wedding, I say, when we decided we were actually going to have a full wedding, not just an elopement. And then in the end, I went to Astra Bridal, which is just a bridal store in Hamilton, and I said to them, I'm not willing to pay over $2,000, and they had so many nice options, and I just wish I'd done that from the start. So if you're on a budget, it's worth going into an actual bridal store and seeing what they have. You can definitely get some nice things under 2K easily.
Even just the experience, right? You quite enjoyed just the experience.
It was a nice experience, yeah. It's worth it. And again, your dress is like something that you look at in photos for the rest of your life. So I think it is something worth splurging on. But also, I didn't try on anything above my budget because you don't want to try on something above your budget and fall in love with it and then you can't afford it because then you're going to put yourself in a sticky situation and you're going to be sad.
There was a lot of say yes to the dress in this time period.
We watched a lot of say yes to the dress.
And that was always something that they said.
It was one of the rules and you should follow it.
Yeah.
Also, my veil was really cheap. I can't even remember how much it was, but it was like under 50.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that wasn't...
Not through them, though.
No, someone else. I can't remember where I got it from, but it wasn't expensive. Next thing was alcohol, which was $1,200.
There you go.
And that's not including the buyback. So they bought some. So in the end, it didn't cost us that much. Our wedding bands were $958.
Now this was on a Black Friday sale.
Yes, which is a good thing to try and get. I wouldn't buy my engagement ring from Michael Hill because I've heard so many bad stories. Or if you are going to buy your engagement ring.
I don't think we're allowed to say specific names. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I was joking.
Oh, okay. Are we allowed?
I don't know. I don't
Is Michael Hill going to sue us?
I don't know.
Us and our 3 listeners?
Yeah.
But even we got our wedding bands from Michael Hill. We had a great experience. The person who sold us the rings was amazing, but I have an 18-karat gold band. It's very simple. It's got no embellishments or anything in it. You have a tungsten,
I think.
Tungsten band. I mean, they're not things that you're going to mess up easily. I haven't heard the best stories about people who buy engagement rings with diamonds in them. Just read the policy and the wording of the warranties really carefully.
I mean, don't do it, but yeah.
Yeah, just be careful because people have been burnt many times by things like that. And yeah, I don't know if I'd buy an engagement ring from Michael Hill, or if I did, again, I'd be very thorough about reading the wording of any warranties that I paid extra for. Yeah.
Because there's some conditions in there. That's the thing that I think it was. Like, you have
Yes.
to go in every 6 months to get them to clean it to make sure it's still in good condition.
Yep. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is what it is.
And it's more to do with the extended warranty.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. The next thing was makeup. I paid $800, which in hindsight is a steal. For me, are 4 bridesmaids, my mum and your mum. And that included my trial. So yeah, that's a steal because makeup is so expensive. Wedding makeup's insane.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the next one. Really? 500-ish? Really?
Actually, yeah, I know. When you said 100 to
I don't think it was 500. I think it was a lot less.
Maybe a bit less. But
Mind you, keep in mind, we went to the supermarket.
Yeah, we just went to New World.
So we don't have like the actual receipt. So we probably grabbed some other stuff that we just needed along the way.
Yeah. Oh, but remember we also had to buy like punch.
Yeah.
And then we bought some Coke Zero. Well, we bought a bunch of things.
I'm pretty sure we had a $200 voucher. And we spent the whole thing.
Yeah. But it was definitely under 500.
Yeah. Better than $1,000. And that's for the grazing table and cake.
Yeah, exactly. Flowers, $472. So yeah.
And we were able to give some nice gifts.
100%. Tailor, $340. I asked the bridal store where I went to who they recommended for a tailor, and she was very good, and she ended up doing your suit too, which was very good. Suit, which we've already talked about, $269. And then we bought a bunch of Instax cameras and film for $250.
Now that was really cool thing to do.
Yeah, it was super popular with the guests.
Always seems to be.
We also did borrow some cameras from our friends, but we bought one of the Instax cameras on sale ourselves. And actually, you can buy the film really, really cheap.
Online.
Yeah, on like AliExpress or somewhere like that, but we just weren't organised enough to do that. So that could be...
It still wasn't too...
even less.
Like, it was still a little bit expensive, but the films, if you get the bigger packs, it actually wasn't too bad. Just make sure you have batteries. That's my other thing. Make sure you have batteries if you're doing that.
Because our venue had like a little photo booth with props and stuff. Or like, I should say, an area for kind of like a photo booth with props that they provided, which is, again, so much cheaper than a photo booth if you were hiring a photo booth yourself.
The best photo I think we've got from that is my grandfather smoking a vape and my grandmother looking absolutely disgusted at him. It was
and
fantastic.
He's in his 80s.
It was fantastic.
For context. Yeah, it's a good photo. It's a very good photo. But yeah, that's the summary.
Yeah.
Takeaways would be, don't get stressed. Be organised.
If you get stressed, I had to tell Yas this. I used a bit of because I was doing software processing or something at the time. I was talking about like design development. Think of it that you have your if you start getting worried about things, you have your core things to worry about. All right. What's the core things you need? You need your celebrant, your witnesses, and the two of you. Essentially, that's the main thing you need. Everything else is an extra layer. So, if you're starting to stress, as long as you know that you've got those 5 people there, you're good.
Yeah, don't let it get to you too much because it can get overwhelming. I should also quickly add, we were lucky enough that one of our friends was our celebrant and he didn't charge us anything, which is very kind of him. We did buy him a gift, but he didn't charge us anything. And then you do also have to pay a little bit of money for the marriage certificate, but I can't...
It's not that much.
A few $100s. Nothing crazy in the grand scheme of wedding planning. But yeah, don't let yourself get overwhelmed. Don't let yourself get sucked in by Pinterest and Instagram. It is only a day.
And you're not going to be around for a lot of it.
Yeah, you're going to be so busy. And at the end of the day, as long as you have a good time and the people you love, or most of them are there, that's the main thing that matters. And you get married. I mean, that's the whole point of the wedding, right? And my biggest piece of advice is don't put yourself into debt for your wedding. It's not worth it. Also,
my piece of advice, if you're going places like the tailors or the tailors or the dry cleaners or something like that, or like makeup, don't say it's wedding.
Yeah.
As soon as you say it's wedding, they tack on like an extra $100.
That's true. Not that we did that. Everywhere we went to knew it was for our wedding, but 100%. Things definitely get more expensive when people know it's for weddings specifically.
Yeah.
Do we want to do our gratitudes and then wrap up?
Can I change it up? What's something that's really annoyed you today?
My migraine.
No, that was pretty
It
quick.
happened while I was testing someone's eyes, so I couldn't see properly while I was trying to test someone's eyes. And then I still had a bit of a headache after. I don't usually get like the pain of the headache. I usually just get the visual stuff. And then no headache, but I actually had a decent headache today. And then I felt very disorientated most of the day. And I'm actually probably only just starting to feel a
Better.
little bit better now.
You're still a bit out of it.
Yeah, well, I said we got married on the 5th of May, not the 4th of May.
Star Wars Day, it's easy.
Oh, God. What about you?
My one today was that we've got road workers outside our house,
Mm-hmm.
and they're setting our dog off with all the loud noises,
He doesn't like it.
and they're making it impossible to get out of our house.
Yeah.
Very
They're like
difficult.
literally right in front of our house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit annoying.
You know, just to mix things up, you know, can't always be grateful for something, you know. Let's just show people that we are, you know, we can be annoyed.
Yeah.
Well, we are annoying, but
Both. Annoying and annoyed.
yeah.
Also, today I was thinking about the fact that last week we said we would tell more than just 2 people, and we haven't. We have done none of
I
that.
don't think we've told anyone.
No, we've still just told one of our friends and my sister, and that's it. So we will endeavour to change that.
Maybe we need to do a Life's Hard how to advertise a podcast.
Yeah. We could do an episode about podcasting because we intentionally decided to do some things a certain way to make it easier. We could talk about that.
Yeah, but then everyone will be doing this, so let's not.
Yeah, give our secrets away.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right,
Bye.
have a good one.